sissy like you. When he says, the doctor says, what is the pain level from 10? He says, try a 15.
Well, he didn't say anything to me last time I saw him.
He was in church last Sunday, you were gone too.
Yeah.
But he doesn't, like I said, he's not a cry baby. He stops, and he lives out in China Oaks. So he goes by the barber shop a lot. So if I'm not busy, he stops in. So sometimes I'll see him 2 times a week, but now I haven't seen him hardly at all.
And how long has this been going on?
A while.
He's never said a word.
It's been a while.
I never noticed it either, because I watch,
Yeah,
when he comes over and drops off the boat tonight.
yeah.
How you doing? Oh, fine.
Yeah.
You know,
But anyway, he's in monster pain.
well, that's the way I am at night. I don't know why it always does that to me at night, Bob. Oh. And during the day sometimes, maybe one on a scale of 10. At night, 8.
8. That means you don't sleep much.
I don't sleep much. Nope. Tends to wear you down.
But he's got disc problems and,
That's
no, there's no. I did say that. Okay, tell me when you are ready. Let me show you.
He goes.
Thank you. So you found something, guy just died. I saw so kind of him. He said, "Oh, how cool!" He said,
All right, I've got the hour 6 p.m. We'll call the Mchenry Township, Town of Mchenry public hearings agenda. We should do the Pledge of Allegiance. I didn't put it on there. Let's do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, gentlemen, unfortunately, Mr. Militello called me this afternoon and informed me, I'll let him explain, we're going to have to postpone these budget hearings tonight. You could explain that, Mr. Militello?
Sure, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. The township is subject to the budget and appropriation ordinance, which is subject to the Illinois municipal budget law, as well as the annual budget and appropriation ordinance, which is within the township code. In having a budget and appropriation ordinance, you have to have certain requirements relative to publication and also providing for the general public inspection at least 30 days. And in reviewing the documents, we're close, and even at 29 days, by my recommendation, if this board continued this meeting to a date specific, so it provides at least 30 days, and also we can provide another publication just to remind the public as far as the notice of when that meeting would be, but at least we would have the 30 days so that we could have that public inspection at the township as well. So it'd be my recommendation if this board could determine a date, a specific date, next week, and a date specific within the first fiscal year, first fiscal quarter, which would be June 30th. So between, I would say, Monday and the end of the 30th of June would be a specific date, if you could identify a date, and continue this meeting to that date. That would be my recommendation.
So it will be a continuation of this meeting.
Right.
Correct.
Otherwise, we would have to go 30-day notice.
No, we don't have to go 30-day notice.
Well, no, if it wasn't a continuation of this meeting.
Correct.
Then we'd have to have a 30-day
Correct.
window, correct?
There's a 30-day window. It's my opinion that the purposes of, it's a viewing period, not only the viewing within the public with the document here at the township, but also the publication period in which the publication runs. It's my understanding the publication took place sometime May 15th, so you'd want that publication period so the public has a viewing period to extend beyond that. So in my opinion, it would be better to have this board continue this meeting to a specific date before the end of June, so that it encompasses not only 30 days of public inspection, but also 30 days of public time period from the time it was published.
Now, if we were to change any wording in this, would that change the date specific? Like if, I think
This board can change wording within the budget and appropriation ordinance itself. It's just giving the general public notice and the ability to come in and view that document. This board can, at this particular meeting, or the continuation of this meeting, review those budgets and make modification if needed.
well, I think that we're talking about having a discussion for this meeting, were we not, for the bus service?
That's in our next regular meeting, not now.
That's right.
Yeah, so this specific public hearing is relative to the township budget and appropriation ordinance that deals with the town fund and the general assistance fund. We would typically have this meeting tonight, except for the fact that it's 29 days and I believe that we need to have an extra day. And so it's my opinion that we just continue this meeting to a specific date that this board can identify, but a date prior to the June 30th date.
I was going to suggest, can we meet Wednesday or Thursday next week? That would give us time to get it republished in the paper, the correct date, correct?
It would, and if it pleased the board, Wednesday would be better for me.
Okay, would that work for everybody? We could, whatever time would be convenient for you.
I can't be here on Wednesday.
Okay.
I could be here Thursday, but it would have to be, well, 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock would be fine.
Yeah.
Thursday I can do it 6 o'clock.
So we do next Thursday at 6 p.m.
Well, once we get into a regular meeting, I'm gonna be calling for a special meeting, okay, for next week.
You can't call for a special meeting for next week.
Well, why can't I? I need 48 hours. To get
No, I
something
think
published.
3 trustees have to present it to the clerk, and Mr. Meltel, please tell
Yeah,
me.
I think it's 2 trustees.
Okay, 2 trustees.
It requires 2 trustees to present it to the clerk. And if you're gonna have a special meeting, you need at least 48 hours, so 48 hours, at least from a publication standpoint.
And I could reach that by Tuesday.
But the problem, I suppose, well, how could you reach, let me think about this.
Okay. I just wanted to know what's coming later.
Don't I have to post it 30 days in advance?
Not,
A special meeting?
not for a special meeting, for the regular board. So if this board wants to call a special meeting, it requires 2 trustees to call that meeting. They'd have to give you notice that they would want to call a meeting, and you'd have to give at least 48 hours notice for that special meeting.
This is kind of the same situation we call a special meeting for the road district. Question about.
But I would rather see each issue
Well,
being
couldn't-
addressed at a time.
Yeah, couldn't we do it all at the same?
Could you have it on the same day?
Yeah, we could, if, with Tuesday.
That's.
But I don't know, the Herald is not gonna be able to publish tomorrow. Maybe they can publish, how long does it need to be published now?
For purposes of this, I just want to, it's more of a convenience because we're providing that notice to the general public to let them
Okay.
know that it's continued. You're also going to do it on your website, but it's more of a convenience to let them know that it was continued. The publication already took place on May 15th.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that publication period is greater than the time period in which the public hearing is actually held.
No, I understand that, but my problem is I don't even know if they can get it in Saturday, they might be able to get it in Sunday. So Monday then we could have a meeting, is that what you're saying?
If you have the meeting, you could have the meeting on Monday.
Okay, or Tuesday, if Bob wants, we could do them both at the same time, would be.
I'm available Monday, that's to the pleasure of the board. Who can make
Well,
what?
do we have the time frame prior to the meeting? If it's on-
For the special meeting? I don't know about the publication for that. I do know that there's 48 hours, once we start, and I bring this to the clerk at the regular meeting, there's a 48-hour period before Tuesday. Okay, I don't know about the publishing. The publishing is, this does not have to be published in the paper, we just have to know.
No, we're talking two different things, I was
I
just
know.
trying to group them together,
Yeah.
but.
But the thing of it is, could you group it together on a Tuesday and still get it published in the paper in time, is what the question is.
Yes.
I think I can.
Then
You
we
could
can do it.
actually have it come out Sunday or Monday or even
Right.
Tuesday for that matter. It's just a
It'll be
matter of.
okay, just so it's published again.
And technically, you don't even really need to publish it again in the paper. All you're doing is providing, again, a convenience for the general public to let them know that you're having that meeting.
Okay.
Because it's not a new meeting, it's a continuation of the
Okay,
published meeting.
okay. So I would think by Tuesday we would be fine, so. Can people meet on Tuesday would be the,
So then it's a matter of, if we weren't gonna do this, I was gonna call the meeting I wanted at 6 o'clock, but do you wanna call the hearing at 6 o'clock and I'll have that at 7, or what, how would you like to do that? Or
well,
how's the board like to do
Don't
it?
you have to have
we
the
could,
one you want first?
no, I'd rather get this finished.
No, we could, that would not make any difference, I don't think, would it?
Okay.
Jim?
No.
No, the sequence.
They're two
They're
separate
two
days.
separate issues, so I don't think the sequence makes any difference.
If I use the same time frame, you could call the meeting at 6:45, I would say. Because we should only need 15 minutes for each one of these, I would think. Unless you think we're gonna need more.
Well, then can I get us some discussion tonight? Because if we were gonna have the hearing tonight, I had some discussion I wanted to make before we made a vote on it. So now, can we have the discussion now or have to wait till that?
I think we can have discussion, can't we? We just can't take action.
That is correct.
Okay, so
Okay.
go ahead.
So then, because I think, okay, I just want to, and I did talk to our attorney about this with the publication of the paper, and I was very confused myself. But, and I don't know where this language comes from, but I'm just thinking if the general public gets there, first of all, it's very small. I don't know how we could make it clarify, but I would think that in the future, I think we should try as a board to try and maybe put it in a box and make it something where it's a little bit more noticeable for people to get to. I don't know if anybody ever does it, and I know a lot of people don't do it, but there are some people like me that go in for these things.
We can do that, Bob, but it costs more money. The bigger you make it, the more it costs.
It does.
Yeah.
But when we've just got a budget for $7 million.
If the board wants to do that,
I don't know how much more it costs, so I think we should at least maybe review it next year and maybe make some
why don't we
changes.
look at it through the meetings next year and we can find out the difference in cost?
That's what I'm talking, yeah, look at, I'm not saying this year,
Okay.
but some of this wording, for right here, it says, and this is another thing to Mike, this is only a tentative budget for the public, so there's nothing gonna be, we can change a tentative budget until we approve it, so it's not a big deal.
That was my
So,
concern.
right, we can do that. But it says, the town of McHenry, then it says McHenry Township Road District, and then it says McHenry Road and Bridge Fund, McHenry County, Illinois. Why would the town be in, just right here, I put all these, you can check them, where I got the red there, when I look at that language, the road district is not part of the town. And it's always been confusing to me that when we have a township, when we talk about town, nobody knows what that is, but it's a township. But when I read that
Okay,
language, I
Bob.
say, how could anybody make any sense out of those
Bob, I'm
things?
looking at it, you're correct, it wasn't changed, and it should say all citizens of McHenry Township, not the road district, in that first one there. You are correct. It's an error, but it doesn't make it, I don't think it makes it invalid.
I'm not
This
gonna,
makes it
no,
confusing.
when I read that, I bet you spent more than a half an hour going, taking notes, and then and then when I talked to you, Jim, about it, I missed the first column part, that's why I thought the times were wrong, okay? Remember I told you I thought that what we had on the budget and the times that was in there was wrong. Let me just go down and try, but I'm thinking,
It should say.
make any sense. But when I first talked to you, I was talking about, I didn't see this part of it here, I missed that one, I got it highlighted now. But we got 1, we got 2, 3.
Okay, there are 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could actually consolidate, so what you have is you have the Mchenry Township and you have the road district.
Right.
And you have, within the township, you have the general fund and the general fund and the general assistance fund within the budget appropriation ordinance. So technically, you could, what you do, you have the one notice for that. You could actually combine the two for the road district to permanent hard road and road and bridge, so that those two are together. So you could actually do the statute.
2 notices instead of 3.
Yeah, but you need at least 2, because you have the town and then the road.
Right, I
So you
understand, and
need
I
at least
understand
2.
that separate, right. But when it comes all together like that, that to me is, even as much as I know about what I do know about townships, it's very confusing to me.
If it's confusing to you, guess what it is for the.
Well, it would be, you know, but anyway, I just think maybe,
For next year, we will be happy to look at
I
it.
think we should look at, maybe make some kind of
That's fine.
clarification.
We could combine the 2 next year for the road and bridge.
My only suggestion is, for now, since it's the
And not
way it's
changing
pre-
anything. Why
yeah,
not?
for the way it's presented tonight,
Oh.
I would rather have 3 separate as it's presented.
Right,
Oh, and I'm not saying change it, because, no, we're just extending what we got here the time. I'm looking for something in the future that
I agree with you.
I think
Tom.
we should
Agreed.
spend a little time on that.
Agreed with you. We could, I didn't know we could combine the 2. We've always done the road and bridge and the permanent hard road separate. But since Mr. Mill tells me we can combine them,
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
And quite honestly, that's, I believe, been a function of the road district who's come in and said, oh, I wanna do this one, and then I wanna do this one. Well, as a result of that, you have 2 separate publications where actually you can combine the 2 of them together into one ordinance, because just like Mr. Adams has done, he's got a general and then general assistance.
There is only one ordinance.
For the town.
No,
Correct.
for GRB too. It's the same ordinance.
Oh,
Okay.
she is
So-
correct. It is the
yeah,
same
so
ordinance.
if that's the
It's
case, then
just separated into 3 meetings for no
Okay.
yeah,
reason.
She is
that can
correct.
be consolidated.
So we'll next year look at consolidating those, which would clarify something.
Okay.
And then, when I went through on the computer, I just came up, the PDF, BOA Town GA, the 3rd box, 3rd page, section 7, the capital fund account, of all the time that we spent on the 9 meetings or whatever it was, the drafts of the 10 meetings, it says 300,000 for GA, but the draft that we had, the 7th draft, had 264. How did that?
Okay, Bob, what that is, and I added that, and the reason I added it, last year, we signed a 3-year agreement for those funds. I was lowering those funds to reflect what we had left in our budget. Now, we can leave the last agreement alone that we all agreed upon last year when we signed it, or we can modify it, or if you want, we can put it all back in general revenue. I don't care. I was just trying to clarify what we did last year.
Well, when I went through that, if I'm on the board and somebody started asking some questions, I would not be able to explain that to somebody.
Those are just,
Those are funds outside.
That's
those
what
aren't
I-
funds outside the regular budget. Those are what I would call our reserve funds that are assigned and committed to certain things. Last year when we did it, we all agreed upon what those were, okay? So we don't have that kind of money anymore, so I was lowering it to reflect the actual dollars that we now have.
And
But if you don't want to have any of those assigned or committed, we can just forget it. That doesn't matter to me.
And I can comment on that also if you want.
Okay.
Sure. After I got this document, I also contacted your auditor that you have, and wanted to follow up, and I also talked to Debbie as well on this. I wanted to know exactly what their average annual expenditures were for the last 3 years based, and then also wanted to know your assets, because this equation, this section 7 directly impacts, it's relative to accumulation within the township and not accumulating more than 2.5% for the total township. Last year, you made the provisions, the statute provides that you not only have to identify what they are, you have to identify the duration, and so you did all the appropriate steps last year. Again, this is the same steps that you took last year, except you've reduced that amount.
Correct.
If this board chooses to not do any of it at all, If you wanted to clear out section 7 altogether, if this board chooses to do that, you could do that without any problem. I calculated that appropriation level and you are below that,
We certainly are.
based on the numbers that I received from the
But that,
auditors.
Bob, that means none of those funds are committed, they could be used for anything then.
No, what was that?
These extra reserve funds, you guys would have to approve it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they could be used for anything, where now they're kind of specified for what they could be used for.
Well, they're not just specified, it's a requirement that they can only be spent.
Correct, it is. And the committed, not necessarily, yeah, you're
Well,
correct.
When I,
But if you don't want to have those, I don't care, that's up to you guys.
well, I think it's up to, at least the board should discuss that, what we should do. I just caught my attention, and when all of a sudden I see, I added up, it's committed and assigned in the town fund $50,000. I was,
Well, I guess I would refer to Mr. Militello. Last year, we passed one for 3 years, so what does that mean then?
That means that's a number that you identified. It would be my recommendation, if you're gonna do that again and use the same numbers that you did last year, then you identify it again for this year. The statute requires that you identify the time frame. It would be appropriate with this board, if you wanna make a change to that, whether it's the time frame or the dollar amounts, you certainly could do that.
Sure, so whatever you please to do with that, it's fine
well,
with me.
I mean, I think it's worth a discussion because we've got 50,000 improvements for town hall, 150,000 improvements for parks and facilities. I have no idea what those improvements are. I don't think anybody on the board does.
Nobody does.
Nobody does, Bob. They're
So-
guesstimates upon what might have to be done in the future.
Well, then I would have a problem with those estimates being that high. I don't know what the rest of the board would think. I think that needs to
Well,
be discussed.
I guess I need to explain. That money exists. It's in our funds, okay? So you can take it all out of there. I don't care, and it's just gonna sit in general revenue funds. Okay? It doesn't matter. I mean, it's still gonna be there. It just wouldn't be assigned and committed for these things.
Well, there's probably a little bit of a safety value there, though. But I mean, I think we really went over that budget a lot, but I think there's some,
What we didn't do, and maybe this is my fault, I admit it, we didn't talk about the excess funds above our budget that we have in reserves.
right, we didn't, no, we didn't.
We
get-
didn't talk about that. So, we've got to get this done by June 30th. It's your guys' decision. I don't care if you want to take this all out, section 7, fine. If that makes you more comfortable, I'm fine with that.
Let's, anybody else got any opinion? Steve or Stan? Mike?
You lost me.
Oh, but that's why I brought it up. We're gonna say $8 million that could happen tonight, and I come across this, and wait, this is something, I felt uncomfortable just saying I'm gonna approve
That-
that
that's-
discussion and find out what we're doing.
I guess what you got to understand, the money is there. It's in its savings account, okay?
Yes.
It's there. So we can take this out. It's still going to be there, okay?
So, except it won't be designated to.
It won't be designated, so therefore it could be used for anything at a later date.
And
So
you
I-
would-
it doesn't matter to me.
In from a legal standpoint, our concern would come in is if I ran the numbers and your
Over
monies were
2.5
over
years.
2.5, then I would discretion the board to say, of that reserve money that you have over here, you may want to designate it to something of a capital nature with a specific use, with a specific time frame.
So
Or
it makes
also-
sense to,
But then, I mean, we can't go back to the levy though, but it also goes back to the levy amount that, that's already been set.
Well, okay, let me explain something else.
Okay.
When we get done with this budget this year, if we all agree, let's forget section 7. We're not even gonna have a year's worth of, in the town fund, a year's worth of revenue left.
We won't have a year,
We won't have a year.
9
We're gonna have
months.
about 9 months.
Well,
So I would caution them, I know what you're thinking. Okay, we've got this money, that's too much, maybe. It's not, is what I'm trying. So you wouldn't wanna reduce the levy anymore, I wouldn't think, because you're gonna leave us without any reserves.
Right, no, I think I made a statement at several meetings that I'm comfortable with 9 months to.
We have
a year
about 9 to,
Of fund balance, not just.
yeah,
that
that's
I have a
about, we have
problem.
about 9 to 10 months. I don't know the exact number, Bob, but around there.
Well, then I'm comfortable with that, and for my end of it, then I'm satisfied with this,
Okay.
okay, as long as I understand.
It's not like we have this excess, a lot of excess funds, we don't.
Well, I just want to be,
Okay.
I just want to know, if somebody should ask me, they probably won't, but I want to be able to answer.
Yeah, it's just,
And I don't, there's 3 other board members here, if you got any comments or questions, ask. Do you understand what we're talking about?
and what this means, I can't spend this money unless I come to you and you tell me I can do this.
Right.
So it's not like I can spend it.
And I'd much rather have it that way, that we have, in other words, it's It's in a fund that can,
It would have to be
set aside
spent in that
in that
fund.
fund, and then we would decide how it's spent in that fund,
Correct.
is when it comes to us, you
And
understand?
That's the way it's sitting right now.
Right.
Yeah, as opposed to having it just out there something.
It could just be out there for anything the other way. That's why I
That makes sense.
did what I did, so, but,
Do you have any questions on it, Steve?
Well, I object to general assistance covering emergency assistance. I think it should be parsed out so you know exactly what's what.
Steve, we've been through that. I can decide how that's going to be administered, so it's the way it is, so.
No, it isn't the way it is, okay? We are the legislature, we decide, we have the power of the purse, and we decide how things are going to be spent and demarcated, okay? Now,
So what are you-
emergency assistance
What are you trying to tell
is
me?
this extra statutory,
That's committed to general assistance right now. That's where it's committed.
no,
But I can't spend it, Steve, unless you let me spend it, so I don't understand the conversation.
well, then let me put it to you in a different way.
Okay,
To be transparent,
okay.
you know darn right well that the general assistance is far lower than the emergency assistance.
I do know that, yes.
Okay, and the requirements to get emergency assistance apparently are much easier than they are for general assistance.
It's income-based, Steve, it's income-based.
Yeah, but you're
It's
giving-
not easier. It's-
When they
it's a-
fail the general assistance, then you can give them the emergency.
Possibly, depending upon if they qualify.
Well, it's emergency-based
It's emergency-based, yes.
rather than.
But that committed.
And they can only get emergency assistance once every 12 months. They can't continually get that.
That's just for general, that committed fund.
And this fund is for general assistance, it's not for emergency assistance.
Would it help clarify for the board to put something in there that says for non-emergency assistance?
We can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, it's only
Not to be used
general assistance.
for emergency assistance if
But
you'd
then
like.
you can decide what's transferred out of general assistance to emergency assistance,
No.
correct?
No, not with this, no. I cannot. Not these dollars.
Well, then what's the point of section 7 at all?
Steve, what do you want? You want it all sitting in general revenue, or do you want it committed and assigned just in case? It
So
doesn't point.
so you're saying you are proscribed from transferring funds from this $300,000 general assistance into an emergency assistance as you'd see fit?
I'm saying I cannot without your permission.
Well,
This
no,
300,000.
I've heard about all this permission stuff, and frankly,
Steve, let me explain it this way. This is not in our budget that we approved, so therefore cannot be spent, period. Unless I come back to the board and say I have a big emergency need, that we lost all this money for some reason because of a disaster, so I need you to take some of these committed funds and amend the budget.
on the official Mchenry Township website, okay, under the board, it states that we have the authority and the right to approve all contracts, right?
Mr. Miltello?
Well, I'm telling you, it's on there.
I don't know what.
But yet
website-
we haven't been presented with contracts, like this mosquito abatement thing. Where did that come from?
Steve,
That came to the board.
what came to the board? Maybe it came to the board before you, it came to the board. The board approved it.
Last year,
Last year, before you were here, it was a
for 4 years.
3 or 4 year contract, I don't remember at the top of my head.
Well, since it's an annualized application program,
What's an annualized application program?
every year you decide to mosquito abate.
The reason we took a 3 or 4 year contract, according to this board, was because they guaranteed us the same price every year. If we hadn't done that, it would have gone up every year. We were being fiscally responsible.
And I apologize for section 7, I mean, that came into play for me last year regarding
Yeah.
surplus funds, so I don't mean to convolute things. All I'm trying to do is, with section 7, is follow the statute relative to monies that are not, monies that exceed
Exceed the budget.
2.5,
Yeah.
that would fall into the accumulation realm, and identify capital pieces and projects that are specifically identified, amounts are given to them and assigned for some period of time. And if this board doesn't want to do it,
Don't do it.
that's fine.
Doesn't matter.
Well, how close are we to the 2.5%?
Steve, that
I just told you.
that was my concern. And so I contacted the auditor, and we are effectively at 2.2, so 2.214 actually. So if this board made the decision to just get rid of section 7 altogether and not even have it on there like they did last year,
Still less than a year.
you're still less than 2.5.
It doesn't matter.
And from a legal standpoint, I'm comfortable with that.
So it's up to you guys. I don't care if you leave it or you take it out, doesn't matter.
Then I'm inclined to leave it because it's a further break on the executive overspending. It would have to come to us.
Correct. That's what I'm trying to explain.
If it's designated, it doesn't fall into that 2.5 category is what you're saying.
Correct.
But there's a danger there though. Because now you've got the cap of 2.5, and now you're also giving a governing body to put across a project out there.
And Bob, you're absolutely correct.
There's
So-
a danger.
Kind of like
So,
a special
so where,
fund or
so where the
something.
challenge
Could be
becomes,
considered,
and
yes.
so where the challenge is, Bob, and you're absolutely correct, is that if this board routinely does this same thing without really sitting down and having discussions regarding facility projects, technology projects, doing these types of things, and planning for these things in the future, again, my discretion to the board is, have these discussions at some point in time in the future,
Yeah.
or next year's
For
budget.
next year's budget, we'll have that discussion.
I think that would be.
When we do our budget hearings, and this is, Bob, I should have brought this up. We will include that in those
Right,
meetings.
because I still have brought it up a number of times, and it haunts me, and I talk to people, is that this whole place was built without public, any kind of referendum. It all came about this tax money that got there, and you kind of maneuver around, and somebody comes up and to do something, and we do it, and you got it, it's awful hard to change it. And when you've got it, there's always added expenses, and things are never enough.
See, and the other problem I have with the formula, okay? They include next year's levy in that formula, okay? I don't have that money. So we're gonna spend all that next year plus more. So I don't understand, I think the formula's wrong, if I'm telling you.
Well, I'm just saying the future, or the past, man, that there was plenty of money here.
There was, not
That's
anymore.
what I'm saying,
We've
okay.
been,
And I think we've done a good job with the board.
I agree
to
with
do
you.
that,
And I
that's
want
my
to further
concern.
point out, this has been going on before this board. It's been going on for many years to lower that, and I agree.
So,
If
I
I
feel
could-
like we're going the right direction.
If I can give you an idea as far as what this board's done in the last 2 years, you've gone from 5.3 million to 4.1 million, so you've reduced it by 1.2 million,
Yeah,
Or more than 20%.
or more than 20%.
more than
So
20%.
what did we have, Jim, was 5-1?
The number was 5,366,338, and now you're at 4,147,237. An effective
You're 4 million what?
4,147,237, at least a 20% increase.
Round of applause.
Well, as a systemic matter, and then really directing it to Mr. Montello, this question. Since everything is completely upside down in terms of the levy comes first, then the budget, what prevents us from figuring out the budget in advance of when the levy is due?
I can answer some of that. I don't know some of those costs until we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, what the costs are going to be next year for some things.
It's an issue.
I wouldn't disagree with
We
you.
talked about it, it's a huge issue.
I'm not sure that, it's cart before the horse type thing, and typically you want to see your money before you start budgeting, but you're budgeting before you get your money to fund it, actually. I mean, look at it
No,
this
we're
way.
getting the money before we budget it.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting your levy funds from the 2018 levy for your 2019-2020 budget.
Right.
Well, we have the power to increase the levy, correct?
You do.
So,
But what I'm saying, Steve, is I wouldn't necessarily know What if there was a big economic downturn all of a sudden in 6 months? And we've already decided what the budget was gonna be. It goes both ways, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, how would that affect us?
It wouldn't.
No, it would.
How would it affect us, my question?
General assistance would go way up if there was an economic downturn. I would need more monies there. What if prices go way up because of an economic, or because of the other thing, inflation? I don't know what that's gonna be a year ahead of time.
It wouldn't actually be a year ahead of time.
All I'm saying is, we could work on it.
It'd be like 6 months ahead of time.
I wouldn't have an issue with that as long as you're flexible with it along the year. Because there's gonna be changes to it that are gonna come up in the course of doing it.
This is quite an anomaly compared to other states, where the budgets are all drawn up in advance of the levies. Okay, like Wisconsin or Missouri.
I wouldn't disagree with you that it's backwards. I don't think anybody would.
Well, it engages every governmental entity to go for more and more, rather than
Well,
to see what the actual needs are, and then to put in their money. This business about economic downturn, you're only talking about a 6 month differential, not a year in advance.
let's look at 2008, Steve. It was an astronomical downturn, and people came into this office like crazy because they were all unemployed and didn't have a dollar.
It didn't affect everybody day one. It's like
I
the
didn't say day one, but it affected them in that year, a lot of people. And it affected them the following year too, okay? We're just starting to recover. I'm just pointing out, there's variables in the economy. We can't predict exactly what's gonna happen. That's all I'm trying to say.
Well, maybe we shouldn't be spending as much as we are.
Okay, you know what, we're off topic here. Let's have a new, what date can we have this meeting, the next meeting? Can we have it Tuesday, Tom?
Yes.
Is that okay with everybody?
That's what I'm gonna call.
Is that
for
okay with everybody
discussion on
else?
Tuesday.
Okay with
Can you come Tuesday? 6 o'clock Tuesday,
6
okay.
o'clock.
There's no sense in having any more discussion on this at this point in time.
So Thursday's out there, just.
So we'll do Tuesday,
June 18th, 6 o'clock.
So it's the 3 meetings.
the 3 meetings.
I would like to go into each of those other meetings.
Okay, now let's adjourn this meeting, we have to do that.
Yeah, let's continue this meeting.
Let's continue this, we're gonna continue this, I need a vote. We're gonna continue this meeting to, or motion, I need a motion to continue this meeting to Tuesday, June 18th at 6 PM for the Mchenry Township Town of Mchenry funds.
I'll make that
Okay, motion by Mr. Rakeshaw, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Stan. All those in favor,
By
signify.
Anderson.
Anderson, I don't care, whoever. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None heard. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn this budget hearing.
Motion
Do we have to do the same about the road and bridge?
Well, we can do it quickly, though. We don't have to go through all this.
But we have to.
We have to open
Don't you-
and we have to open
Don't you
and
have to have a motion to get on that too?
We have to open and close those, yes, also. But we gotta adjourn this one first.
Steve just made the motion.
Steve made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Anderson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? None heard. This means adjourned. Okay. Now it's past 6:15. It's 6:35. We're gonna open the 6:15 scheduled meeting for the road district public budget hearing and that was for the permanent hard road fund. Okay. Again, we have the same situation here. It would be recommended that we continue this meeting till Tuesday, June 18th at 6:15 PM.
And I would just request that my comments from the 6 o'clock meeting be incorporated into this meeting.
Okay, so the same comments are incorporated into this meeting, the reason that we're continuing it till June 18th. Do we have a motion to continue the Mchenry Township Road District Permanent Hard Road meeting till 6:15 on Tuesday, June 18th?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Stan Wojcicki, second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Veer. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None being heard. Okay, we need a motion for adjournment of this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion adjourned by Mr. Beard, seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, thank you. Now we're gonna quickly move on to the, opening of the, McHenry Township Road District budget for the, Road District Road and Bridge funds. So I'm opening that meeting at 6:38, let's say. So we also would like to have a motion to continue this meeting until Tuesday, June 18th,
I'll make that motion to continue to,
at 6:30 PM.
was it the 15th?
18th.
Or 18th.
At 6:30 PM, right?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Mr. Anderson, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, none being heard, this meeting will be continued till Tuesday, June 18th at 6:30 PM, when we have a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that.
Motion by Mr. Rakestraw, we have a second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Revere. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, gentlemen, we're done till Tuesday with that, and then we'll go to our regular meeting. Unfortunately, we have to wait till 7 o'clock for that. So feel free to take a break, do whatever.
Craig, is there a copy of the existing ordinances for the township?
They're online, I believe. And if you can't find them, Steve, let me know. I will have to show you where they are.
Don't we have two for each one?
No, this is just the one that's signed in your here. Dan, I don't get the other one until.
Public interest directors for internet freedom in Mchenry Township. Internet freedom for free market to better internet.
Jim told me that we can do this. And then to do that, step on in and do that. So you're for support.
And also other materials.
Cool. But there's nothing wrong happening in that store. Thing of the way it functions. To go over it, it's wrong. And that's why when you make a lot of 2.5 years, it makes sense. It's just like, we have to do. What is the name of it? Oh, yeah, really good. Really good. Good product. So what is the process?
So Internet Freedom is a volunteer organization. We're trying to advocate for the investment and creation of fiber optics. And we're advocating to have it be open. So that means it's not run by the government, it's actually run by the private sector. So your phone, your telephone, your internet and your TV and whatever else, maybe 5G, would be provided by the private sector. But it would be run by a nonprofit cooperative, which you would own.
Okay.
That's the idea in a nutshell. There's a lot of steps to get there, but that's the, because right now we have a monopoly. There's a, basically we don't have any choices. And it's a natural monopoly, so it's not gonna happen. It's not coming here. So.
Well, we'll get it started. Nothing said it. So then, on the 18th, at 6 o'clock. I just gotta change mine to 7.
Hey, Jim, we actually have a whole entire packet, which is not to confuse with the packet you guys already have. This can tell you. This is color. We've got big bucks right here. If any of you would like to have a copy, I think I brought enough.
Well, I don't wanna take their copy.
No, you can have it.
I'm gonna give it to Stan there.
It's on the computer, right?
Why, it's in,
So how's it feel? How does it? Do you like being clerk?
Sorry?
You like being clerk?
Yeah, actually, it's very interesting. Not very important, but very interesting.
Sun on the right one.
Oh, no, okay.
Probably ought to shut all of them.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
how's that?
Hey, Carol.
I would imagine so.
Barrett coming in.
And what was your background before? What's your background now today?
I would worked for Sears for 23 years and I wanted to go out of business.
Thank you.
You bet.
Either sell cars.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
Carol?
You made the smarter choice of
Pardon me?
becoming a
Happy
lawyer.
June.
Isn't it? And we're still wearing sweatshirts. You're like double layered over there. Honest to God. Our Lions Club this morning had the bands out there for hearing and eye testing.
I'd rather say,
It's so
more
windy, we were
just
so
cautious,
cold.
I'm just cautious.
Down to the bone.
Take care
Down
of
to the bone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which Lions Club do you belong to?
McHenry.
Oh, the one in Mchenry.
It feels like,
One of our volunteers is Larry Spade from the Harvard Lions.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm Carol Pershing.
Kara, I'm Dave Bukowski.
Glad to meet you.
Did you say Larry Spade?
Yeah,
I used to know a Larry Spade.
he's a former letter carrier, and he's in Mchenry Township, and he's one of our advocates out there.
I'm trying to think where, I know the name, but I can't remember where I know that name from.
Maybe because he tried to run for district.
The mail, letter carrier.
Larry Spade?
Yeah, but he was in Schaumburg area.
No, that was,
He ran for District
now it's
6.
gonna drive me nuts.
He did run for District 6 for county board. He was unsuccessful. Oh, I know it's
yes.
I see the wheels turning.
Oh, I know, it's gonna drive me.
Larry Spade.
2 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, oh, I remember.
Yeah.
How it always is.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
But thanks for,
Looking up
yeah.
something online.
Well, that's good.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one that was lost in it. I said, I'm glad I'm not the only one that got lost there.
Redheaded stepchild.
By no means.
You know what I'm saying, right?
I know, I mean, we all, it's nice. We're very thoughtful.
10 minutes. God knows how many hours.
So they look at you as much more than
Yeah, it was 10 meetings. I didn't keep track.
yeah.
Which could have been done.
It's like having 2.
3 meetings.
And There's still a question.
That should be discussed.
Yeah, it's not over yet.
I believe she has somebody else.
I hear you.
How do you keep up with that?
Otherwise, she may not be able to get.
You got other clients. Oh, man, that's one thing.
There's no political stuff on here. It's all
Very fun. Very fun. Never make a
Can I see this? Oh, absolutely.
You know that sign out?
Oh,
Oh, absolutely. You don't get any time off. No, 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 no time. And then you wonder, there should be nobody wondering this, how an 85 or a 90-year-old farmer gets out twice a day to milk the cows. Because that's all he's ever done, you know. And they have 4 eggs a day, you know, and they're supposed to be, eggs are bad.
Keeps them going.
Yeah, keeps absolutely. There's a sign out on the it said if you eat, you're part of farming.
Oh, that's the barn road.
Yeah,
That's
part
a
of-
dollar fund.
Yeah, if you eat, you're part of farming. I think that's a perfect.
No, that's the dollar fund.
Dan, I have a question.
There's no chords you have to go over, you're good.
No, I'm in the clear. It stands.
They're about the same. She's back on chemo again, so it's the lower dose, so she does that.
You have the trip,
No, it's in Crystal Lake. It takes like 4 hours. 4 hours. Last Tuesday, she went, but that was the first time she went by herself. She said, stay home, she would be.
oh, so she's
That's
able
an
to.
improvement.
Oh, yeah.
That's an improvement, huh?
Yeah. No, yeah, she's pretty good, you know, I mean, you can't tell by looking at her that she's sick, you know.
Oh, that's good.
You know, she's tired all the time, but the chemo and everything knocks her out.
You know that
Lung cancer.
You know,
Every 3 weeks. And they're like 4-hour stints.
Yeah, she has to get an IV drip, and they put this cocktail in her, and then she's screwed up for the next couple of days.
You guys are married.
Yeah.
She's telling you to stay home.
Yeah. Actually, not for about 2 or 3 days. It's like she goes on Tuesday and starts going downhill about Thursday or Friday. So like, you know, what's today, Thursday? Yeah, tonight, maybe tomorrow, we'll see.
And then how long before she starts to get restricted?
Probably about Sunday or so, Sunday or Monday.
it's been about 2 years now.
A year. A year? Been doing it for a year.
But I thought like 2 years ago when you first said she got sick. That's only been 1 year?
It's only been 1 year.
1 year? I
Yeah.
thought it was 3 years.
She's got to do, she got to do 10 more.
Oh, I'll keep trying.
Is there a center there?
Yeah, in fact, they were at the Mchenry Hospital, but they moved to Bristol Lake. It's part of Centegra.
Okay.
It's the Northern Illinois Cancer Center. They just moved a couple of months ago to Mchenry Hospital to Crystal Lake by the new railway station in Crystal Lake. It's only like
Where's she going?
10 o'clock. I'll be around 10 o'clock.
Give you lunch.
So it's like kills the whole day though. Yeah.
Troublemaker. No, I got my ears on.
Yeah, she worked, in fact, she worked for a phone company with me, that's why I met her. She was a service rep, and I was an outside retirement.
Good for you guys.
Thank you.
It was fine, but I didn't see why it was expensive. But I got no problem. Yeah, I have a land license.
It seems like a lot of people run away from the real lines and just use the cell phones.
A lot of the younger crowd, you know. I tell you, what they don't understand is yeah, that doesn't work.
Correct. That was.
The landline is more reliable. Batteries. Batteries. Go down.
That's right, you have a store, right, everything's out, the phone works.
It's still gonna work.
That is a true story.
And with the cell towers or even your home internet connection.
That's how it is.
The landline is free.
Yeah, I never have any jobs.
You know, like, so.
I don't trust the technology. I mean, when it works great. I think it's unreliable.
You know, there's been times where I heard, like, all of a sudden, something, there was an accident down the road and they did not come. It shut you down.
I'm absolutely sure.
Did we get
No, I left one.
She's gonna have some questions for them.
I've been working there.
At least it's not Iowa.
You just gotta
Well, you know, I'm showing my age. I'm a cop. I work for the phone company. I work for the cops. There's new technology.
You're gonna live there the rest of your life. Rockford is a Rockford is a life.
had a friend that moved there, he was like, yeah, Rockford ain't too bad.
My son and all of this, but I'm thinking they don't have no live and die by their work.
Freedom of exactly stuff. I get everything off.
Yeah, right. That's not what you're right. Yes.
Finally happened.
It actually uses the phone.
But what am I gonna do? All my volunteers, all of our volunteers are actually through.
Drew has another, some dollars and cents and percentages. Here, look at this real quick, but I need it there.
We're gonna make this happen.
I did that back in March.
Okay, stay standing. We're going to call a meeting to order. Pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first thing on the agenda, we have a presentation tonight.
Hey, Craig, could I just bring up something before we get to that presentation?
Sure.
Okay, I would like to, I'm going to make a, I want to get something scheduled for a special town meeting, which I know I have to give it to the clerk, and I also have to have board members support that. But I just want to tell you that when I got the agenda, I was very disappointed that you did not have, what's on the agenda item, which I'd asked for about the bus program. And all you had down there was for a discussion what's going to happen for the future. And I expected possible action there.
I don't believe, from the minutes, Bob, and from the tape, I don't believe you ever asked for possible action, you asked for discussion.
I don't believe I did that, but I did talk to all three of the trustees.
Okay.
And they all thought that they thought there would have been possible action on there. I certainly, I'm not saying that I actually said that, but I expected that, so I'm very disappointed it wasn't there. So I'd like to read off what I want for the special meeting, and if there's any problem with this, I'd like to tell me I got the wrong language here.
Can you use a microphone, please?
It should be on.
Bring it closer.
Yeah, but do not, you have to put your, you have to be closer to it.
I would like to schedule a special Mchenry Township meeting at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, June 18th, 2019. Listed on the agenda for discussion and possible action will be for the elimination of the Mchenry Township Senior Bus Program and the refusal of Mchenry Township Bus Program grants. So do I have any support from any other trustees?
I second that.
Thank you. Is that language okay, Mr. Montella, to move forward to the clerk of that?
Mike would recommend that it be provided to the clerk to then prepare an agenda for that meeting.
Okay.
You would do so.
Okay, you'll give that to the clerk and he will then schedule the meeting. I don't have to have a vote, only two trustees have to call for a special meeting. So we have two trustees calling for a special meeting. All right. So then I'm going to move on to the presentation from Mike Toller on the Internet Freedom for McHenry County. He has a presentation to give us regarding, I'll let him give it.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, board members, members of the public, good evening. I'm Mike Toller, Internet Freedom for McHenry County's regional community advocate for the Mchenry Township area. Internet Freedom for McHenry County is a volunteer community interest group Dave Katowski created almost a year ago. I don't get paid for this, and neither do any of the rest of our volunteers. We saw a need in our community, so this organization is trying to address that need. We lack critical infrastructure for today's needs and tomorrow's. McHenry County is already lagging behind the digital age. We pay too much for internet access, and we don't get much for it. Our schools, governments, residents, and businesses pay way too much for what we get. Many of our residents don't even have broadband internet services. So what do we do about it? I believe that what is currently happening in other communities and what has happened 100 years ago can help find us a real solution. A solution that works. Let's go back 100 years. When some places in the U.S. had electricity, mostly the cities, and they used it to power mostly street lamps and trolleys. Certainly, out here, it was mostly horse and buggy. Imagine that such things like refrigerators, fans, toasters, and all the appliances didn't exist. If they did, they were restricted to the affluent folk. At first, it was just the lights for the wealthy folk, getting rid of candles and gas lamps. And the introduction of lights into wealthier homes proved to be a wedge, a segue, for appliance makers to start electrifying all kinds of things: fans, toasters, irons, vacuum cleaners, you name it. Electricity use soared because of this. It created a need for additional capacity and the business case for building it. However, it never reached rural communities because it wasn't considered profitable. Now, building on that foundation, let's talk about our current situation, here and now with internet. Unlike just a few years ago, children and adults are now required to submit their homework online, and many assignments require an internet connection. I know this because in my day job as an IT engineer, we work with a number of schools, and every single one of them have the goal of becoming one-to-one, meaning every child has a computer. Our schools are handing out portable computers for children to complete the assignments, but it's only possible when they have internet access. Some of these kids are forced to go to McDonald's or other public places like Starbucks to do their homework because it's the only place they can go. School isn't open all the time, libraries aren't open at 24 hours, and even some of these facilities don't have great internet connections themselves. Did you know that some 50% of children were not able to complete homework assignments because they didn't have internet access or a computer in their house? This thing that I'm referring to is commonly known as the homework gap. Those who have resources to do their homework and those that do not. This is part of the greater picture of the digital divide for all of us. This lack of cheap, high-speed, reliable internet service and fiber optic internet gives our kids a real handicap that's felt through all of our lives. Not having the proper infrastructure, which fiber optics is, stops people from moving here. It makes it harder for people to sell their homes, stops companies from investing, and stops many things from happening. And it only adds to the accumulating opportunity costs and ineffectiveness for our community. With the creation and expansion of a community fiber optic network, McHenry County, including Mchenry Township, will address many goals, including economic development, communication, and education. So what kind of internet service options do we have here in Mchenry Township? Comcast, AT&T, and Frontier. Comcast offers high speeds in this area, in the gigabit range. That's 1,000 megabits. However, due to the type of technology that Comcast employs, and their preferences for oversubscribing their pipelines, you will rarely see those speeds. They charge too much for all of these services, and it comes with deals, additional fees, data caps, and their cost of service never goes down, despite advances in technology making the infrastructure less expensive. AT&T, through most of this township, provides only DSL. This technology is at best obsolescent and at worst archaic. DSL speeds range from 14 megabits on the low end to 20 megabits on the high end, with most areas rarely ever seeing that high end. AT&T does have some fiber capable gigabit in this county, but it's mostly in the new construction areas, and there are no known plans to expand this to the existing homes. Then there's Frontier. Frontier as well offers DSL, as which I've stated already, is long out of date, and doesn't even offer the threshold of 25 megabits or more to be considered broadband by the FCC. Frontier is not going to be upgrading their network from DSL to fiber optics because they're heading for some serious financial troubles. They're losing customers hand over fist, and it's only going to get worse for them. At this point, we can probably expect to see Frontier head into bankruptcy and get bought out, and that usually means less choice for us, the consumers. We are aware that villages in this county try to encourage more competition and investment by reaching out to such companies as Time Warner, which is now owned by Charter, Frontier, Comcast, and more. From what we heard, none of them were interested in investing. When the private sector isn't willing to invest and is not willing to expand, even when it's profitable to do so, and you've begged them to do it, what exactly do we have left to do? What else can we do? Because at the federal level and the state level, we've given these companies billions and billions of debt, deregulation, tax incentives, tax breaks, or promised great future with fiber optics everywhere, but they've not delivered. And every day they fight us on delivering and asking for more. There are hundreds of communities that have faced and are facing this exact situation across the country, large and small, rural, non-rural, Republicans, Democrats alike, are seeing the failure of the private sector to provide us cheap, high-speed, reliable, and universal access of the internet to everyone. The only way these communities have been able to solve this problem was to build their own fiber optic network. If you're going to spend taxpayer money, you might as well own the pipes. Such communities include Rock Falls, Illinois, Highland, Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, Longmont, Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado, Chattanooga, Tennessee, Williamson, North Carolina, and even Linden Township in Michigan. There are hundreds more like this. Our problems are similar to almost everyone, everywhere. For example, in City Rock Falls, just outside Dixon, along Interstate 88, they decided to build out a community fiber network just last year. Rock Falls is a city of a population of about 9,500, and it occupies about 3.88 square miles. Consists of 4,100 homes, and this fiber optic network is being built at no cost to the taxpayers by utilizing revenue bonds, which is being paid for with the revenues from the network. They're served by Comcast, but much like here, Comcast was offering a subpar, expensive service. They decided to take the destiny into their own hands and improve things by rolling out a fiber optic network to all their businesses, and to do an organic growth method with the residents called fiber hoods, and only build out when demand was sufficient. Rock Falls is doing this as a way to reduce risk to the taxpayers. But the downside is they only build out when the demand is enough, and in the end, when demand is enough, but in the end, it gives residents more options and better connectivity for their businesses and more. Another community that decided to invest in community fiber optic networks is Linden Township in Michigan. Linden Township is located north of Interstate 94. Michigan Route 52 goes right through it. It's located 30 minutes northwest of Ann Arbor. It's smack in the middle of the Waterloo State recreation area. Linden Township is your typical size township, about 35 square miles, population is about 2,700 citizens, and consists of 960 households. Linden Township's issue was simply a lack of service for all their citizens. While there are pockets of charter, much like the township here, it's not universal and it's slow. They decided to solve their problem of building their own network by issuing a referendum, which passed and is being paid slowly with the general obligation bonds over 20 years, which averages out to about $21.95 per month per household. So nearly $200 to $300 every year per household. Linden Township is charging $44.95 a month for 100 megabits, whereas Comcast charges $110 for similar speeds here. For gigabit service, they're charging about $70 a month, compared to Comcast charging $140 here. This means for gigabit service with Linden Township, folks are saving nearly $70 a month or more over what we pay Comcast for the service, even after the tax increase. Roughly $840 a year. Multiply that over many times and you've got some serious money coming back into your economy. Need more examples? Farland, Ohio, a suburb of Akron. Population 7,400, occupies nearly 4.5 square miles, has roughly 3,200 households. They did a similar model to Rock Falls by rolling out fiber to everyone at no cost to the taxpayers by utilizing the same method of revenue bonds and an organic growth model. They started in 2015 and it took a number of years, but they were successful. And now they're offering internet to their neighbor, Akron. Fairlawn offers 300 megabits for $55 a month. Their gigabit service is only $75 a month. Their savings over Comcast and Frontier are shocking. So these communities decided to invest in fiber optics and give more choices. Great! What is fiber optics? What does it mean to me and why is it important? Remember in the beginning when I discussed how rural communities 100 years ago were left behind when it came to electricity because it wasn't profitable? Then and now, this is called demand-based growth. It was slow. The rural folks were never going to see electricity unless something was done. Finally, people complained loudly enough and the government intervened. Electric companies fought against it, but eventually it led to what's called the Rural Electrification Act of 1936. And that was the start of the electric grid we see today. By the 50s, half of the rural folks had electricity. It would have been until the 60s when most were covered. So finally it came, everything we see today. We cannot have the society today if it wasn't for mass electrification. Today electricity is plentiful, cheap, and universally everywhere in the U.S. It's also regulated. Without all that, our society would not be possible. As electricity was for the industrial age, fiber optics is for the information age, which is today. We don't sit around flipping circuit breakers trying to run for our entire house on 20 amps only. Now, most houses have over 200 amps. We don't use all 200 amps, but it's there when we need it. And it will be as devices require more electricity in the future. Comcast and Frontier and the rest argue that people don't need the speed or bandwidth of fiber, but we can settle for nothing less. Fiber optics is giving you fast enough service that you aren't waiting for something to happen. Fiber optics runs on glass, the size of a human hair, and its capacity is nearly unlimited. Because it's nearly unlimited because it's not based on the number of electrons you can push down a copper wire. It's based on the number of lasers and different colored lasers you can use to push through this glass strand, making its capacity nearly unlimited. And since fiber optics is made of glass and plastics, the medium itself is bound to last multiple generations. This is what we need now in Mchenry Township. This is the future of McHenry. This is the future that McHenry County cannot survive without. In conclusion, what we're asking you, the board, the township here to do, we're asking you to investigate interest in the community, to check out this opportunity of building a community fiber network to bring countless benefits to our community. Like hundreds of others before you, and to investigate the cost, possible financing options, and to find out if there really is a business case to be made here, to assess the need. We suspect that there is a strong need for this. To find out, we need a complete broadband surveys by talking with businesses, community, our children, parents, schools, our libraries, our seniors, our workers, and we need to talk to our neighbors like Mchenry Township, Hebron Township, and even the leadership of McHenry County. We may not even realize that we're missing this critical piece of infrastructure because we don't have the data. To make any big decisions like this, we need data. Getting this data, forming a committee, doing a broadband survey, that's where we start. We start right here. As for the people, we're asking you to get involved. We're asking you to talk to the board, to tell them your story. Tell them your plights, your issues with the digital divide. The issues your kids have of not able to do homework, the issue of expensive broadband and more. If you don't talk to them about this, they don't know. We don't know what we don't know. The thing is one of these rare occasions that can be resolved at local level. This is the kind of thing that's really empowering. In the end, let's find a way to get all of us cheaper, faster internet. Thank you for your time. Is there any questions?
Is there empowering legislation that, or do they need empowering legislation to do this?
The question was, is there empowering legislation or do we need it? I don't believe there is any empowering legislation at the state level, but I don't believe that we really need it any because we have had multiple townships and cities already in this state do this. Yes?
I don't have a question, I have a statement. We moved here about 3 years ago from the city of Chicago. The rates went up and the speed went down. And fiber is not available.
It's not available in most places. In fact, I only know of one area within Mchenry Township. Actually, it's just outside of Mchenry Township. And that's on Bull Valley Road in those new developments by Kunat, those townhomes. There's fiber there. It's right here at our door, and they won't bring it to us.
Actually, I have fiber. I'm on the east side of Estakie Bay. I don't know if they went any further than that. We're very close to Lake County, but I have fiber at my door, but I don't know anyone else who does.
And
yeah, the city of Mchenry, they started laying fiber optic wire probably 17, 18 years ago, if not more.
And it's all probably still there, and it's all probably still usable. It's just dark fiber. And dark fiber, if we can get that connection going across the entire county, then the entire county benefits and pays into the system. Any questions from the board? Okay.
Oh, thank you. It was an interesting presentation. Thank you, Mr. Fowler.
Thank you for the time.
Okay, moving down the agenda. Right now we have availability right now for public comment for up to 3 minutes individually. And then there will be another, I think we have another one at the end of the meeting. So I didn't get the list. If anybody signed up over here, let me go get that. Here we go. Is that correct? Is that a couple things here? The last board meeting I brought up, I don't think we really need public comments at a meeting. I brought a couple examples here, one from Harrison School. They have just one public comment on their meeting. I got an example here from the Mchenry County Finance and Audit Agenda. They have one on there. There are different places on the agenda, but I don't think there's any need to go through two public comments. Well, we have it on this agenda. We can discuss this when we get to, I guess, old business, Bob. Okay. The other thing is, I know the city of McHenry does something different that might even benefit us more. They go through each agenda item, and then they allow a public comment for that item. So it's something to think about because the people can talk about the item. So it's something to think about, we can talk about
Well, I
that.
just wanted to bring it up again because the last time I brought it up and I saw nothing, information about it, but I think we need to look into that.
All right, let's talk about it when we get to old business.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay, first on the agenda for public comment is Carol Pershke. Carol, if you can give your address.
Carol Pershke, 5114 Northwestwood Drive, unincorporated Mchenry Township. Off my topic, Bob, I think you're wrong. You're shutting out the public's input. Now, back to my section. I'm going to talk specifically about the buses. The bus line item of the total town budget represents approximately 12%. This board wants to cut budgets, yet there's been approximately 12 budget workshop meetings at which $4,800 has been paid in trustee salaries and another $7,200 to have a township attorney. That's $12,000, $1,000 a meeting. But the other part that I brought up is at an earlier, way back in March, I had mentioned that I had done a study years ago about how many senior citizens there were in Mchenry Township. Mr. Beer asked about it, and I went back at that time, March 12th. The information that was available to me then was the 2017 annual Supervisor of Assessments report. McHenry Township, based on that distribution of assessed valuation revenue, McHenry Township had just under 25,000 parcels, and a copy of this document has been provided to the clerk. Of that approximately 25,000, 22,492 were residential. That meant 85.4% of the township parcels were residential. Of that, 13,564 were owner occupied, 60.33% of residential parcels are owner occupied. Of that, 3,800 are seniors. That is a senior percent per capita of 28.61%. Of that, 3,880 seniors in the township. Of that, 1,088 were getting the senior freeze. What that boils down to is percentage of seniors with the freeze was 28.04%. In summary, McHenry Township has the highest per capita senior homestead exemptions of larger townships, Algonquin, Grafton, and London. Only one, Chemung, had a higher per capita of seniors who qualify for senior assessment freeze. They had 150 versus our 1,088. In summary, McHenry Township, combination of high population of not only seniors, but low incomes, seniors with low enough income to qualify for the assessment freeze, clearly demonstrates the need for economy transportation. I formally request that this board stop having special meetings and put the money toward buses. Thank you.
Okay, next I have Beverly Much. Beverly, if you give your address and your city you live in.
It's 4314 East Lakeshore Drive in Wonder Lake. And actually, I'm here also representing a friend of mine, Laura Barnett here, who lives on Waukegan Street in McHenry. And I, in addition to the first speaker, am here to talk about the bus service. But my comments are very short. We're interested in seeing this bus service continue because it provides a service that no other transportation service in the county provides. And it's a very important one to us. It's transportation on Sunday that starts at 8 o'clock. And that's a very important aspect of this transportation to us. So we would like to see the county continue with the senior bus service.
Lastly on my list, I have a Judy Anderson.
Can we do impromptu public comment without signing up?
After she's done, I'll allow anybody else.
My name is Judy Anderson. I live at 413 West Pleasant View Drive in Pistakey Highlands. It's come to my attention and many others in our neighborhood over the past week that there is a medicinal marijuana farm going up on Broadway. And I don't know if anyone else in the area has heard this, but as our board is here to oversee our area, I think it's of great importance that this really be checked into. Several people in the area have gone to building and zoning. Apparently there isn't any type of licensing. There's terrible looking buildings being constructed there. They have 2 gun towers. It looks like the cartel has moved in. I'm thinking that it would be something that maybe you folks could check out and make sure that we don't have that in our area. It's totally unacceptable as far as our community is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to make public comment this time? Okay, sir, and give your name and address, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm Dave Gutowski. I'm at 10810 Pheasant Lane in Woodstock. Unfortunately, I am not a resident of Mchenry. I'm off Greenwood Township. But, so you heard Mike talk about internet freedom and about the fiber optics, and how does that really apply to seniors? Well, it applies a lot to seniors as time goes on, with self-driving cars, with telemedicine, and all the things that are coming up for a lot of our younger boomers. That could really impact things as well. And eventually, we will get self-driving cars, and we'll need that data to be able to do that. And having fiber everywhere will make that possible, to be able to have better transportation for seniors that aren't necessarily reliant on it would probably be non-ambulatory vehicles they would be able to rely on. But for the ambulatory, you would need you still need ADA accessible vehicles, of course. I used to be part of the Metropolitan Planning Organization that oversaw a lot of the townships in Indiana, some of the townships in Northwest Indiana, and this bus service is critical for our seniors. I mean, they can't drive. Some of them need to go to dialysis, they need to go to the grocery store, they need to do all these things that they need to do. There seems to be an anti-senior thing going on here in Mchenry County in general, and it's really disappointing to see, in general, being anti-senior on that. And it's really strange that me as a millennial have to stand up here and say seniors shouldn't be shit on, in part of my language, but they shouldn't be that. So, but thanks.
Okay, Mr. Beltran, did you want to speak?
Yes.
Robert Beltran, 2814 Regular Road, Mchenry, Illinois. I find it amazing I have to make these comments, but I guess I do. I'm really dismayed about the special meeting that's being set up to discuss eliminating the bus service altogether. And it brings to mind something that happened just a couple of days ago. I was inquiring at the assisted living place on Crystal Lake Road for a friend to see if it would be a suitable location for that friend to move into. And the person explained that they had a bus to take people to the doctor, but it was only 1 day a week. Now, they also explained that when a person moves in there, they take all the Social Security and give them back $90 to live on per month. So I said, well, what about if people have to go to a doctor's appointment that isn't on that 1 day a week? And he said, well, then they have to use the township bus. Because the bus comes in, you know, we'll service people there. Well, if we don't have a township bus and someone has a doctor's appointment, and I don't know about you, but the doctor usually tells me when he's available, and doesn't ask when I'm available. So all of those assisted living residents are going to be in a pickle if you take away the bus service. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else? There will be another comment session at the end of the meeting. Okay? If I don't hear anybody else, I'm gonna move on. All right, gentlemen, we're to the approval of the minutes. The first one I have on here is the review of the regular Mchenry Township Board meeting minutes held last month on May 9th. Is there any discussion for changes of those? And if not, I need a motion for approval.
I got one on a budget workshop.
Okay, we're gonna get to that, Bob?
But without the next one, okay, so, but May 9th, I know.
No? Okay, anybody else, anything on May 9th?
Well, I have a problem with the format that's been now employed to record the minutes. It seems as though certain sections, there aren't any real minutes at all. We're just told to go to the YouTube and look this up. And that would be okay if the audio recorded meetings were going to be kept as part of the permanent record. So you can see that this goes on and on. Some parts of the meetings, there's very detailed minutes, other parts nothing, and it's just blank, go to the YouTube. So maybe this is more appropriate for new business, but I think we should keep the recorded aspects of the meeting permanently available if we're going to use this kind of a minute system to ensure that there's a complete record that anybody could go back to and look things up, rather than a sort of a sanitized minutes as they are here, where some things are in and some things are out.
Okay, Mr. Beard, your comments, or any other comments?
I want to respond to that. If you didn't notice underneath that it's also marked that it is not a permanent record on YouTube. And the reason I put that in there is because at time to time you seem to want it word for word. So here, if you want it word for word, these minutes are going to be about 50 pages long, sometimes 100 and 200. They're made to an outline. Minutes are an outline of what happened. I give that outline. If you want more detail, that's why I put that underneath there. This was also ran by our attorney, and he agreed that it was fine.
Well, my question is why they can't be made a permanent record.
It's YouTube. YouTube is not going to keep the records for 100.
Simply record it and then keep an archive of it. Okay? That can be done, right?
Additional costs to the township. I asked the attorney to respond to that.
The open meeting is not necessary for purposes of recording. The other issue is FOIA. Anybody requesting FOIA of the audio recording makes it a little more difficult, and the digital recording of that document. The YouTube document that's out there, I believe anybody can access it. I believe anybody can hear it. Is there an audio with it?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so just for clarification, the audio recorded is your audio that you're using to record for purposes of transcribing these minutes.
No, YouTube is filming right now. It's currently
No. What he's saying is you sometimes go back to that YouTube to transcribe these minutes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Correct. So the minutes sometimes are used by you in order to transcribe the minutes.
Yes.
And so you've documented these minutes as a formal procession of the meeting, and these are your documents. The YouTube is perpetual and it maintains out there for indefinitely then, or for how long?
I tried to find out how long. I haven't got any, but it has, as long as we've been doing it, they're still current.
But you don't maintain that document?
No, we do not. It's on the YouTube service.
So, yeah, and so again, it's the purposes of the document retention and holding those documents. So if you maintain an audio recording and that's used for your specific purposes of transcribing these minutes, then as long as you identify it as not to be part of the permanent record, then it's not used for that purpose other than your purposes of preparing these minutes. As far as YouTube, anybody can go and use it and listen to it at any point in time. And
So
as far as FOIA, any individual out there, as well as any of the trustees, can FOIA your minutes and/or executive session minutes that have been opened up and released as well. So those are documents of the township. Now, documents that, for purposes of destruction, there's a retention act that requires that you identify it, and you have to go through a special process of identifying it, listing it, and then going through that destruction process as long as the record's kept. But that's a separate issue. It's up to the pleasure of the board as far as what you want to do regarding maintaining additional audios and/or videos on the premises, and what methods by which you're going to use to maintain the security of that information, that data information.
Supervisor Adams, may I address the question he asked me?
I didn't know he asked you a question. Go ahead.
He asked if you could store that.
There's actually, Mr. Chairman, there's
Okay.
any
Okay,
audience
he's correct.
participating. This is a board meeting, we're not part of the board.
Did you just ask him a
If
question?
Steve asks him, it's up to him.
Steve, did you want to ask him a question or no?
Well, the whole thing just seems to be an avoidance of a FOIA request so that we don't have to answer people.
Hey, Mr. Beer, if you have a problem with the minutes, I suggest that you ask them to be changed now, and then there's no issue, okay? Let's do it that way. It's the easiest way.
Then I asked that this be tabled so that people can actually go through it.
You had,
I had, what, 48 hours to do it? With the budget and everything else? Okay? No, that isn't right. Less than 48.
it takes you more than 48 hours to read these 3 little minutes? Okay. Is there any other board would like the minutes to be tabled? Gentlemen, I don't see a problem with them, to tell you the truth. Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes for the May 9th board meeting?
Is there any changes you want to make in the minutes, Steve?
Need time to look at it. I mean, this stuff is
You've-
like throwing out our
you've
labs,
had
look at this.
You've had 48 hours, Steve. I can't help it if you don't have the time to look at it.
What, I didn't ask for 48 hours. I said we should give people things
You
for
said
a week.
you said you only had 48 hours. I find that sufficient time.
Every other trustee is.
Every other trustee isn't having a problem with it.
Every other trustee isn't bothered to read the stuff either.
Well, that's their issue then.
I'm talking about the trustees that have.
Okay, Steve, you're just throwing your own trustees under the bus. Apparently, Steve has nothing to add to it, because I have a motion to approve the minutes as they are. I'll also make that motion. I need a second.
I'll second it.
Second it. I need, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
Okay, motion, the minutes are passed. All right, let's move on to the May 6th budget meeting. Is that correct? Yes. Do we want any changes or addition to those minutes that are written?
If none, I'll make a motion to accept them.
Okay, a motion by Mr. Anderson to accept. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw first. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? None being heard. Okay, let's move on to the May 13th budget workshop meeting.
Well, backtrack here.
Okay.
Out of my notes, I put down review budget workshop minutes for April 8th on a Monday. And then we also had a workshop on April 9th, but we never had them back to back. I think that April 9th should have been the 15th, the following Monday. And those are minutes I approved the last time, but I just got to catch it this time.
I'll be happy to go back and look at that. Give me those dates again, Bob.
Okay, we had a workshop on Monday, April 8th.
Okay.
And then it said April 9th, which would have been a Tuesday, but we wouldn't have been here on a Tuesday.
No.
So I looked at the calendar, probably should have been, it's just a minor, probably should have been 15th.
15th. I will take a look at that, and I will be happy to bring those back to the next meeting. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, right now, we're still on these May 13th minutes for the budget workshop.
I have no corrections there.
Okay. I have none, I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any nays? None being heard, okay. We don't need to review any executive session minutes right now. We need a motion for the approval of receipts and bills for the town fund.
Read the undersigned members of Mchenry Township Board of Trustees certify that, excuse me, that we, this 13th day of June 2019, examine and audit amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payments of same. Total reimbursement to be approved, $296.36. Total bills to be approved, $59,094.62. Total bills paid prior to audit, $39,936.47. Total be approved, $99,327.45. Total receipts, $21,719.34. Before I make the motion, I've got several things I'd like to say about that. Number one was we have a vendor for web marketing. What is, I don't have I couldn't find a check number on that, but it's $271.
That would be,
what would that be for?
That would be uniforms that are used in the office. Like polo shirts that they buy with the township logo on it.
Oh, really? Interesting.
And that's Mary Mahady sometimes also. For her field sale.
Is that the road district? Is that all done from that marketing?
I don't know what the road district, I don't know what the road.
This kind of years
that would be the town budget, that would be in the town.
Okay.
So I don't know if the road district who they use.
And then, there's I'm just gonna do these check numbers out. Check number 22, say 866, it's $100, 22,865, 22,864, 100, 107. Were those some of, would that be general assistant payments out to people?
What were the amounts?
Yeah, the amount, I just checking it. One was 100, 100, 7, 100, but then they got four more. I come up 100, 100, 600, 100. I got names here, I'm not for sure. You want me to read them off? I got
no.
the numbers.
Let me come look at them and see if I can. I would have to ask Debbie to be sure. Some of these could be refunds of deposits on our hall. Debbie, could you identify those names and amounts there, what those were for?
Those are return deposits.
Return deposits on our hall.
It's a return deposit?
They have to put a deposit
For
when
the
they.
park.
The park,
Yes.
and the park, they have to put a deposit on the shelter when they rent.
Oh, that's what that is.
So they get that money back when they leave it in good condition.
Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll move to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the town fund.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the receipt, pay the bills of the town fund. May I have a second to that motion? Seconded by Mr. Rakestraw. We need a roll call vote on this. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw? Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
Yes.
Okay, all yeses, motion carries, passes. Okay, we're gonna move on to the, motion for approval of receipts and bills for the general road and bridge fund.
We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have on this 13th day of June 2019 examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payment of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, $632.08. Total bills to be approved, $87,266.80. Total bills to be paid prior to audit, $12,081.33. Total to be approved, $99,980.93. Total receipts, $19,563.08. I make a motion that we approve the receipts and pay the bills for the general road and bridge.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Rakestraw to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the general road and bridge fund.
Before I second that,
Okay.
I got a question. Let's see, check 725, 726, and 727, there were debits, and for the Holiday Inn, the first check number, that was for $678.06. Then it was $687.96, and then $770.52 for a total of $2,136.54. What were that for?
That was, I believe you approved it at the last meeting. It was some of the township road district staff went to a seminar on how to, was it online public works seminar, I think, on how to better take care of the roads.
How many people were, the road commissioner's not here, so maybe I should.
You're gonna have to ask the road commissioner, I don't know.
There was three.
Three, okay.
And
Three
that's
people went?
exactly what that is, and you guys approved that, that was, approved at the meeting prior.
So 3 people,
Correct.
and how long were they gone?
They were gone for, I don't
I
know,
want to say 3 days.
three or 4 days.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know.
approved at the meeting before. I believe it was 3 days.
And now second.
Okay,
Motion.
second.
There's another question.
Okay.
On the town of Mchenry, bank transactions, page 4.
Hold on, we've already approved that, Steve, you're going
No,
back.
he's on GRB.
Oh, I'm sorry, GRB.
Changed to GRB.
Okay, sorry.
And I know Debbie explained this, but I think it should be explained publicly.
Okay, what?
Because it's rather a mysterious notation, and it's all quite explainable. It's the $150,000 that's transferred back and forth to the
That's the
GRB.
transfer from GRB to town when we cashed in the CD.
Oh, yes, we had to cash in a CD, Steve, in order to make payroll, et cetera, because we didn't, our tax levy monies hadn't come in yet. So we cashed in a CD and we moved it.
Right, but this is going in between different accounts.
Did we first put it in the road, we first mistakenly put it in the road and it needed to go to the town? Is that correct? Is that?
No.
Okay, what,
No,
I'm sorry.
he's talking about the original transfer from GRB to town. When the road district borrowed us the $150,000.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We were short on payroll, so the road district borrowed us $150,000 for less than 24 hours. We cashed in a CD, we gave it back to them. Now I
Yeah,
remember.
we didn't know how long it would take.
We didn't know how long it would take because payroll was due the next day.
All right, well, then that raises the question of how could the payroll, how could you get into a fix like that in the town?
We got in a fix like that because we lowered the budget, and to be honest, Steve, we don't usually have to watch our accounts that closely. We do now, and it won't happen again. We had the money, we just had it in a CD, we had to cash it in, that's all.
We know what, on the budget, we're transferring $850,000.
Yes, for this year, we have to, out of reserves, we have to transfer $850,000 this year. We haven't been able to do that because we haven't approved the budget yet. That's part of the problem.
Well, I'm not suggesting anything was nefarious
It
in
wasn't.
this transfer,
It wasn't.
but I just think it needs an explanation, a public explanation.
The public explanation is.
Right, okay,
Okay,
you give it that.
okay. So we had the money, we didn't have it in our checking account, so we had to find it and put it in there, and we had it. We just had it took us less than 24 hours to do it, but we didn't know that at the time. Okay? Anything else on the general road and bridge fund? Okay, I've got a first and a second. Let's have a roll call vote. Adams, yes. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Beer? Rakestraw?
Yes.
Anderson?
Yes.
Okay. Approval of receipts and bills for the permanent hard road fund.
Permanent hard road fund. Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $151,900.88. Total bills paid prior to audit, $16,635.16. Total to be approved, $168,536.04. And the total receipts, $19,082.56. I would like to make a motion to approve the receipts.
and pay the bills.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Wojcicki to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the permanent hard road fund. We may have a second to that motion. Second. Second by Mr. Rakestraw. Let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Veer?
Yes.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay, done. All right, fund transfers, we don't need to do that this time. Okay, we're gonna move on to new business discussion, the Mchenry Township Senior Bus Program and its future. I want to correct one thing, Mr. Veer, I gave you some incorrect information and the board at the last meeting. I believe that the McRide program did not serve cities that were not in the program. I am partially right and partially wrong. They will pick up seniors and disabled, like in the village of Wonder Lake, that are not in the program, but they will not pick up the general public. I thought they wouldn't pick up anybody. I stand corrected. I was wrong on that. So with that, so they will pick up, if they're in the township and we're part of McRide, they will pick up seniors and disabled anywhere within Mchenry Township. But they will not pick up the general public if the city or the village is not part of that program. All right. What discussion do we want to have, gentlemen?
My comments will be made at the special meeting.
Okay. I'm going to make a comment right here. I feel the senior bus program is extremely important. Is there another service out there? Yes, there is. Is it the same quality service? No, it is not. There will be refusals if they are moved to the PACE service, because PACE will not be able to handle the volume. So everybody will not be able to get to their destinations. I would suggest, there seems to be a straw poll on this board to eliminate our senior bus program. That's certainly your prerogative, but I would suggest, as we are transparent and open, why don't we put a referendum on the ballot and ask the citizens of Mchenry Township if they want to fund this program or not?
Yeah. Let the public speak, not a secret.
Right, I mean, we're only a small group, of individuals. Let the public speak. Bob, you're always saying let the public speak, so that's my suggestion. We can talk about it at the next meeting then, it's up to you.
Good.
If they don't want it, that's fine. If they do want it, I think it should continue. So, that's my assessment. Nobody else has any discussion on that?
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
I remember when we were running for these positions, I remember we came to a senior meeting, I think it was a bingo and a luncheon, and we made a promise to the seniors that we weren't after them, we weren't after any of their services that they get from here. So I just want to remind the rest of the board of that meeting.
I have a question for Mr. Adams.
Yes, Mr. Veer.
You've been on this board for how long?
I've been on and off it, Mr. Veer, about 15 or 16 years on and off.
All right, now, were you on the board that voted to initiate the Senior Express program?
I believe I was on the original board that initiated that.
And then was there the Mchenry McRide program?
Did not exist at that time, no.
Do you know about when it did come in?
The Mchenry McRide I don't honestly know. It's only been in the last, I can't tell you, I'd have to go back and find out. Less than 10 years, I believe.
One of the public commentators who spoke tonight talked about the Sunday service.
Mm-hmm.
But you've discontinued that since when?
It hasn't been discontinued. I told it to be discontinued by the end of June, and it will be. Because in that case, we believe McRide can provide that service because they don't have much demand for Sundays, is my understanding. I wouldn't want to leave the seniors so they couldn't get there. I believe in this case, McRide could deal with that. But during the week, it would be an issue.
I have a comment and a question.
Okay.
But since you said that you were on the board when you created the bus service, I've been in Mchenry Township since 1947. There was no bus service at that time, but was there a referendum when it was created, the bus service?
Bob, to tell you the truth, I'm sure there was not a referendum, but there could have been a call for it. I think where it came from, okay? At that time, there was I'm not sure, but I'm gonna guess. There was a senior advisory committee, and I think to the township, which consisted of a variety of people in the community, not just seniors, some community leaders, and I believe they're the ones that brought it to the township board and asked it to be created, and maybe Carol can shed some light on that.
I believe it was discussed also at an annual meeting before it was implemented.
I think it was.
It was accepted at the annual meeting.
I think it was.
I think so.
We'd have to find it, though.
My point is, you want a referendum now to discontinue it. Isn't that what you just called for?
That's what I just called for, yeah.
Well,
you want a there was no referendum?
You didn't create it with a referendum, so now you want to get rid of it? And this is what's wrong with government.
How come we can have a referendum to get rid of the township road district that you say the public should vote on, but we can't have a referendum for this?
With the law
No, the law doesn't state this, but
we were elected as a board with different ideas. This board certainly has the same right to take away a service as opposed to a board that gives a service. The only difference is it's like when people get spoiled with this service and they get something.
Okay, I will have to go back and look at the annual meeting, please. Bob, I'm just like, we're only 5 people on this board. I think the public should have a right to decide if they want to spend their tax dollars. What's wrong with being transparent? That's what I'm saying.
He wants to cut people out of the meeting.
And then I've also stated many times about we created this paradise here, all these buildings.
Okay, audience, please don't interject. Bob has right to speak.
Thank you.
Check out.
Bob, that's your opinion, and you're welcome to it. Obviously.
Okay, I express it.
All right. Anything else on this at this time? Okay, none being heard. Are we okay? Yes, Mary, you can be recognized.
That goes to the public comment, okay? This is an open.
Fine, Mary, we'll wait till public comment.
All right.
That's fine. All right, let's move on to old business then. We did have something to discuss about the old business, didn't we? And I've already forgotten.
That was about how many the public comments, how many we have, how we want to handle that. So whatever. My feeling is there's no reason to have more than one. I know the reason that we got the second was at one time, early after we got elected, I said, let's have something out for a member comment. And then people started going and growing, so we have to have, if you get member comment as a board member, elected official, we have to have another second comment at the board meeting. But so I just let it go, but quite a bit of stuff gets repetitious. So I have no problem. Certainly I support public comment, but there's no reason to have 2 of them. And what we want to put on the agenda is up to the board to decide, but not the audience.
Okay.
And it's up to the board. Maybe the rest of the board want to do it.
Sure, I understand that. Okay, let me put that on the next board meeting minutes to discuss and vote with action.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. With action.
With action. Okay, so we're clear. Any other old business? I did say public comment. I don't think there was anything else. Oh, I have to inform you of something on new business too. Go ahead, Steve, first.
I would like to have discussion and potential action on a motion, a resolution by the board to approve of contracts entered into by the town.
Can't hear you.
They only work if you talk into them.
Okay, please be quiet so Steve can talk. Go ahead, Steve.
And for the next meeting, in fact, the special meeting.
Okay, Steve, you can't do that. You're gonna have to, that's another item. Yeah.
Maybe Miss.
Can't we just do it at the next?
With her
at the next.
Fabulous technical skills.
Yeah,
it's tough, talking to it, it works better that way.
Can't we just do this at the next regular board meeting, Steve? There's not gonna probably be any contracts approved before then, so that would be my suggestion.
No, we'll have it at the next meeting. A resolution.
Okay, then you have to change, you and Bob have to present another, we have to vote on this, another thing for the special meeting.
I'm talking about the next meeting, the
Oh,
next regular meeting.
I thought you were talking about the special meeting, I'm sorry, okay. No, the next regular meeting I'm fine with. Okay, we'll put that on the agenda, and you want discussion and action?
On a resolution of the board to require the township board's approval of any new contracts to be entered into by the township.
Okay. And we'll put that on the next monthly meeting agenda.
And on that meeting, I'd also like to see on there that we go to executive session to reveal personnel for the road district. We never got back.
Right, and he isn't here,
We were supposed
so-
to work on that, we never,
Yeah.
kind of got lost.
You're correct, we'll put that back on for that too, okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we're kind of out of order. I do need to discuss one thing with you, as a board new business that we will be talking about and, at the next regular board meeting. Jessup Manufacturing in Mchenry, Illinois wants to put a large addition on to, expand their manufacturing operations within McHenry. They have requests, not just us, but all taxing bodies, that are covered by them, that they pay levies to. They're asking for a rebate on their taxes, I believe, for 5 years. The exact details I will get you. To the township, it's not a lot of money. It's $2,000-3,000, I believe, but I will bring you the exact numbers at the next meeting. So we have to vote on that if we want that. They're going to create 43 new jobs in the city of McHenry. I'm not even sure if I believe they're in the city of McHenry. With this addition of new jobs, or a bigger facility. They're bringing another product in that they bought out from somebody. They have mentioned that, you know, if this isn't going to be realistic for some of the taxing bodies, they are looking at other places to move their business. So something we need to talk about the next meeting. All right.
One final thing, if I may.
Sure.
I believe that one of the public speakers mentioned about this marijuana farm that's going up somewhere in the township. I would like the township attorney to review the legality of that. If it in fact is in the jurisdiction of the township, and what could be done about that.
Whoever spoke, that's on Broadway, is that in the township,
yes,
right?
Sir, it's just down the street.
Do you have an address, please? I know you gave it to us.
It's across from a Mount Hope church.
Across from Mount Hope.
They
Okay.
I don't know.
I got an idea where it is.
From Cottonwood Estates, it's across from Cottonwood Estates, Mount Hope Church,
Okay.
between Fox Lake Road and Johnford Road.
You're not in the village of Johnsburg then, right? You're just in the township?
That would be the township.
Okay. And the county has been entertaining zoning for this, or?
They've been approached and they haven't given any answers. They said there are no permits been issued for that.
Okay, because I thought the state, you had to get certain licenses to do that, but.
Well, that's what I heard. The state.
It sounds like an illegal
The state was
operation.
notified.
Okay, we'll have our township attorney look into it, and we will bring it back at our next meeting to discuss it.
It's a big concern.
Okay. So we already had old business and proposed agenda items for next meeting. Supervisors, you have my reports in there, the park report, the general assistance report, and the senior center report. Okay, I have nothing else you want to have any questions on those?
I saw something listed as the Woodstock Squares. Why would Woodstock have something to do with our township facility here?
I believe that's a square dancing place that rents.
Well, why are they?
You can rent, you don't have to.
Are they paying for it?
Yes, yes.
Oh.
That's probably a return of the deposit.
Oh, okay.
All right, if there's no questions in my reports, I'm going to move on to the assessor's report. Mary?
I don't have a lot to report.
Oh, it is good. Don't have a lot to report. We're working basically to get our assessment numbers in by the end of July. So we're heads down doing that. But I will say that we'd probably be doing that a little quicker if there weren't so many people asking us what's going on with the board and why they want to get rid of the buses and what they're doing, you know, to work against the residents in the township. So it makes my job a little harder this way.
This has nothing to do with the assessment.
That's part of my report.
Out of order. Barry,
Part of my report.
It affects her
I'm
office.
telling you what's going on in my office. People ask me all the time. They want to know what's going on. They don't get answers from the board. They ask questions. The board calls special meetings. You know, it's on the agenda tonight, but let's not talk about it tonight. So I'll have more questions from people come into my office or call and say what's going on. So just let me know.
People are paying attention. They just don't know.
Why don't you grab the one next to it, Mary? Maybe that one's losing its
Maybe
battery.
they'll get some new microphones.
Might be losing its battery.
We have a lot of work to do there, but, you know, again, people are asking questions. We're here. We're
Okay.
here to answer those questions, and they keep asking, so. We're not getting any at this meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Anything else? All right, the highway commissioner's not here tonight. I'm sure he will be here next month. And then Bob, we can ask him those other questions too. I do, would ask that we move to executive session, for a short period of time, regarding property sale. Something we have to discuss regarding that. So, could we have
Would it be possible to have a public comment before we do that?
Yeah, it would be. Why don't we do that so the public, if that's okay with the board members, so the public can go home. Okay, any public comment, we're gonna move to that now. Okay, in the very back row there, sir, if you come up, give your name and address.
My name is Bill King. I live at 2011 Clinton Court here in Mchenry. I'm 75 years old, and I say that because I've been around the block a few times. I would like to appeal to the board to please open your hearts to the people of McHenry. We need you to serve us. We have a lot of needs. We have a lot of wants. I don't understand why there's a conflict between what you want to do and what we need. And I don't understand why a board, I've served on many national boards as well as state boards, there's always a discussion between the people and the board. And I don't understand why that is not allowed at these meetings. Surely you can conduct business with some input from us, because you are, after all, our servants. We're paid, and we would like to ask you to somehow come to terms with what it is that the people of this township need. We're not asking for millions and millions of dollars. We're just asking for good service. And please be our servants in that process. Now, I'm a professor of counseling, and I know group process, and I know democracy. And what I'm trying to get across here is, in true group process, in a true democracy, there's give and take, there's a listening to both sides, and a coming together of some kind of decision that benefits both and all. I don't see that happening very often at this meeting, and I don't understand that. So I'm just asking, please open your hearts to the service of the people. Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record again.
Mike Dollar, 7511 Hickory Trail, Lake. My blood type is A positive. The importance of having a public comment section at both the beginning and at the end of a meeting, I think, is paramount. Mostly because before the meeting starts, we can look at the agenda and we, the public, can voice our opinion to the board on what is upcoming. And then at the end of the meeting, we, the public, get to voice our opinion on what action was taken. And that's very important to get that immediate feedback to any sort of governing body, especially one as close to the people as the township is. I implore the board to keep both spots. It is unique and outstandingly useful, at least to a governing body that is here to serve us, the people. On a small side note, Mr. Veer, I don't know what's going on tonight, but I find that you're throwing things there during that discussion very inappropriate, and I think that you should apologize to everybody here because that was kind of like a little temper tantrum. Thank you.
Or any other public comment? Yes, sir.
What did I throw? You threw your packet when you didn't like what the minutes had to say. You threw it onto the table. Watch the video, it's on YouTube.
Okay. Again, I'm Robert Beltram, 2814 Bregner Road, Mchenry, Illinois. Comments on two things. One is to follow up on what Mr. Pollard was just talking about. I recall that when this board came in, you folks decided to have the follow-up comments because you wanted to get feedback on what you folks were doing. If you want to lose that feedback, I guess go ahead and vote to get rid of the follow-up comments. But I find them very useful, and maybe you don't care what's useful to me, but I think it's useful to the citizenry in general. So I would exhort you to please keep the follow-up comments so you can know how we feel about the things that you have said during the course of the meeting. Secondly, referring to the cannabis farm, and I say this as a person who has never smoked a marijuana cigarette or any other form of cannabis in my life. Let's be careful not to be hysterical. And I don't know how much is based upon rumor or how much information is really there, but as I understand it, under the new Illinois statute, cannabis can be raised as an agricultural product like any other, with some restrictions, and that we have to keep in mind that medical cannabis is very low in THC and high in, I think it's CBD, and it's not much use to people for recreational purposes. So I find it very hard to believe that they would be installing machine gun towers in the corners of the property.
Go look.
Well,
Serious.
is that what they actually are, or
Yeah.
this surveillance?
Well, we don't know exactly but there are some big towers there.
Okay.
Maybe they're doomsday preppers.
Well, let's be rational and not panic. I'm sure that if you have a conversation with these people, and with the county planners or whoever that they have been in discussion with, there's probably a rational reason for what you're seeing, and let's not misunderstand it. So I'm just saying, let's not panic, let's be rational.
Okay, Bob, good. Any more public comments tonight?
Yes.
Hold on. Anybody in the audience? Okay. Carol, let's look at the public.
I'll say a couple minutes and walk in front of you if you don't mind.
Please state your name and address again for the record.
Yeah.
I know it's monotonous.
Carol Persky, 5114 Northwestwood Drive, Mchenry, unincorporated Mchenry Township. I agree with, I object to the concept of the second public comment being off in conjunction with the request for another special meeting at which 95% of these people can't attend. It appears that instead of being more transparent, you're trying to huddle in and get something done. And so for the sake of transparency, to leave everything open. Again, I will stress the importance of the bus service to this township, and it is not a Cadillac benefit that we have. We have all paid taxes, we have all done that. And so I was born in 46, which is the first year of the baby boomers, I believe, and there's a whole lot more of us in that night. And I've used it personally for medical purposes, so has my husband. There are scores of people in this township that could not get around without that bus. So thank you very much.
Mr. Howard.
Dan Howard, 1804 North Riverside Drive, Mchenry, Illinois. I've always wanted to be a prophet, and I thank you, Mr. Veer, for making me that. I made a prediction a week ago, actually about 2 or 3 weeks ago, because of my support for the senior bus program, that you would pick the minutes apart.
Yeah.
Now, you claim that you don't have enough time, it's only 48 hours. Yet, when do you come in to go over the numbers? You have 48 hours, you come in an hour before the meeting. So it's your fault that you don't have enough time. Yes, and when you come in at 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock meeting to go over this, what's the difference? If you got the information 2 weeks before and you come in an hour before, what's the difference? Thank you.
Mr. Glab in the back row, do you have some comments?
Just wanted to comment a little on the public input. We did many years ago, when I first got on the council, we created a policy to where we had public input at the beginning of the meeting, and then we had public input for people that wanted to speak on each individual agenda item. The council would start the discussions, and then they would take public input, and then final deliberation. I felt that we went kind of backwards for many years as far as the fact that we went with just public input and that was it. And I'll tell you, that system works. We've been back to that for about the last year or year and a half, and that's the way to go, because you will hear from individuals, and you'll hear at the time that you're ready to deliberate, and they will hear your opening comments, and you shouldn't be afraid to, bring up your opening comments. So I wanted to bring that up. And the second thing I want to bring up, and again, everybody's talked about the road, the buses and all that. When I moved into Whispering Oaks in Mchenry, I was a young whippersnapper at 41 years old. Times have changed, demographics have changed. I'm in the seniors now. The thing is I paid for schools when my kids were in school. I paid for many years after they've been out of school. My kids are now paying. And I don't have any grandkids, and they're still paying for schools. I don't intend to use the bus service. But I know a lot of seniors that drive that probably shouldn't be out on the roads at their ages. Yep. And they're forced to because they need to get around. And every time we take services like that away, all you're doing is just forcing them to be on the roads to where you, me, anybody else that can still drive safely have to worry about some of these people. So, there's a lot more than just the top surface to look at. Yes, we could save a couple dollars. We save, what, $8, $9 a household. But what it boils down to, I still pay for schools. I still pay for township roads. And the thing is when we're paying out for the entire community. And that's the way we have to look at it. Doesn't matter what percentage of the community winds up with using those services. More than anything else, though, is a community as a whole is what we have to be, and that's how we have to support it.
All right, are there any more comments, Mary, that you wanted to comment?
Mary Mahady, 207 North Creekside Trail in Mchenry. Regarding the public comment portion, the city council format does work very well, but the difference is that when it gets to an agenda item, the council members actually give their opinions and the reasoning and their opinions on that issue. So the public is given that information. They know what the board is thinking. Tonight, you shut these people down. You scheduled a special meeting where you had it on the agenda to talk about the bus service, and you refused to do it. And you wonder why people want to have public comment? Because you just shut it down. What if these people wanted to hear what your opinion is? You don't want them to hear your opinion. You have no transparency. They deserve it. And if most of these people might not even be able to make it to a special meeting on Tuesday. Another feather in your cap on transparency. Let's do a short turnaround on meetings and see who can't make it. So public comment is a good thing to have. As far as the bus service, my understanding is the township spends about $245,000 a year on that service.
Wrong.
And that breaks down to about $10 a parcel in this township. $10 a year that people pay for a very valuable, widely used, desperately needed service that we provide. And I ask you as board members to look at yourselves. You're not young. You might need this service. Be glad that you might have friends or families to drive you around. There are lots of people who have no one to help them. And is that what you really want to do? This is about serving people. This is a public service job. And all you want to do is keep taking things away. So be glad. Mike, you're on crutches. How did you get here today? You had someone help you. What if you didn't have somebody help you? How would you get here? How would you, a lot of people do not have friends and family around. My staff went to a house the other day, a woman is bedridden. We went to her house to help her fill out forms. She doesn't have, there's way too many people in this community that need our assistance. We shouldn't be continuing to cut things that are needed by the people in this township that cost $10 a parcel. That's ludicrous. Cut things that aren't needed and that are wasting money. Thank you. My name is Dorothea King. I live at 2011 Clinton Court, McHenry, Illinois. When I walked in here tonight, and one of the first things that happened was that the bus service was not going to actually be discussed after all. I was really embarrassed and humiliated because I had put out a big message to all of my neighborhood that was what was going to be discussed tonight. And I'm hoping that none of my neighbors that I begged to come here were here to watch that embarrassment. I don't understand how a meeting can be held, announced, and then what was supposed to be discussed isn't discussed. It's really embarrassing. And I now have to go back and tell all my neighbors, sorry. They said they're not going to talk about it. They're going to talk about it Tuesday. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
What time is that meeting on Tuesday, please?
That will be at 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with that, I would ask for a recess, and we need to go to executive session to talk about property sale issues.
For the record letter, it's 5 ILCS 120/2, exception C6.
Okay. And we will come back just to adjourn the meeting, but there won't be any, I don't believe there'll be any more business. So it's up to you to stay or not to stay.
Thought we'd agree on something.
Well, this guy raised it. That's what you're scaring me. Okay. And then he said,
Can they pass a resolution at the special meeting to discontinue the first week? It's on the agenda. And then we perform the special meeting to override. Board can read again to override. No, I mean, the public can call it a special meeting. Yes.
They can have discussion on it. I don't know if they can enforce it themselves.
Since it involves township property.
Also could affect the road district.
Well, that's true.
Okay. Once they put it out there, they really didn't say the number of people. It's all states. Okay. They raised it up to about, say, 150, right? And they go out the whole county. The senior express is limited to the township and maybe, it's already come, it's our county. It's coming out of our.
You want to bring it back?
RTA. The whole town. All right.
I thought Craig said that township pays the rise of.
He only meant that in a figurative way. Residents of the township.
Hey, we're supposed to go, let's go.
Their county bill. It's not a separate, it's not part of the county tax assessment at all. But you can actually go further on it. Because the township one, you can only go on the township. But then the
He said What? It was brought to their attention.
Whoever's behind this has a mailbox.
Well, they don't. Yes, well, anyway, I don't say we know who owns it. He's a lawyer in Chicago, and he's rented it out. He's rented it out to this other guy. And the other guy adds something that's been and
Yes, they do.
but the civil zoning was in that. I think the county should be investigating going on. The county should know.
Well, keep in mind that the township has referred to
There were at least
The
three.
lawyer can go check it out.
well, what's the point of checking out if you want to check out?
Or we can check out basic stuff. What I told him.
The zoning board is also a separate entity for the township also, and has very little powers at the county level as well. Very limited level. So if there was anything that happened at the zoning level, it would be at the county level, and you have to go during the public comment period. Public comment period, it doesn't make it to your official recommendation to the board. This was the solar farm stuff, so it's the same thing for any zoning stuff that happens anywhere in the county. Keep that in mind.
Usually, she's told Jerry, why doesn't it at least every other month?
Yeah.
And she's here, we don't even know why does she have the right to say?
It's just, not everybody knows everything. When you talk to the
I personally think that she's taken time and handing out notices all around our neighborhood. And you know what's supposed to be. And the house, I'm serious, the house was this small. It's not a, I
if it's recreational, medical, they already have a permit from the state. It's all ways, they can DEA, and the state can come in and fuck it. And they can go to prison for it. So they have to become machine.
They're planting, yes. One, the neighbor that really is checking into this, she's not able to do it. She, they have a business, and this young man worked for them. He's leading them down, and he said, your benefits $18 an hour for playing marijuana.
I have not seen it, it doesn't grow.
I'm not this with the state, I mean, the stuff is so fairly new. I would just contact the governor's office. Yeah, talk to the governor, they would be able to redirect it, and of course, talk to the governor.
He's too busy trying to get 75 cents a gallon.
We'll talk to the other
Around by three, you can't see anything. They have a driveway where you're driving, you can't even drive a car. But it's very secretive, it's the thing. You can't see anything from the road unless you look through that driveway. It seems very,
Whatever we can, yeah, whatever we
Yes, I know. Oh, shoot, I was supposed to bring it up.
I know. Otherwise, I don't care. That's 2-3 minutes. That is the right one. Oh, maybe.
Should these just put on the approval of those minutes?
Yes, they should.
The next agenda, the next regular.
Right, good point. Good point.
Make sure nobody leaves before I get all these signed, please. I'll wait until I don't these.
You can start, Greg. Just got it.
Okay, we're gonna reconvene our regular board meeting at, 8:43, thank you, clerk. We just need a motion to adjourn at this point in
I
time.
make the motion.
Motion by Mr. Rich,
Second.
Mr. Anderson, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None being heard. Meeting is adjourned, thank you.
You got some time to do it here. Let me know when you're ready to sit down.
Bring it on, just before.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Jim. Take care.
Thanks for having this for our presentation. Yeah, I have for my presentation. So, thank you. I really appreciate it for you guys.
That's valuable information. Michael, thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, you're, the one we did. Where is it?
Right here. There's two sheets there.
What are you going in? Oh, yes, he did. Go look at the video. Use me in that. You know, that's not how you win people. I'm not trying to win you.
Okay, Mike's got.
And what are you doing here?
I do not remember.
Sure, you were there. Maybe you weren't there. Was he at the meeting? When we went to that senior center, the bingo thing? This one? I thought he was there too. Yeah, but like I said, we didn't say anything about the bus.
Yeah, I know.
Their objection was that my senior center was all
Then we need Stan and
and we said, no,
Stan and Steve.
Yeah.
we didn't make any
Steve,
promises.
Stan, you guys are saying.
But was I there?
I don't think I
I
said
don't remember. They tried to go fast.
Oh, the town,
They were gonna
okay.
speech it again.
This one I
I
need
remember.
Stan and Steve. Me too.
I think I'm done.
Yeah.
On both of these. But there's one, who's not done with that?
Steve is talking
No, Steve's got to get this one.
So we're missing one here. That's Steve. One here. Oh, missing
Supervisor. We need the supervisor. She's around.
I don't drink, Steve. Sorry.
Okay.
You did that at home.
I got
everything here.
You got everything?
On this one.
I like that. That's perfect.
computer.
Okay.
We're good? Good. Let me check it.
You're gonna be the wheelie all the way out.
Done?
Good
Good night. Thursday.
Tuesday. You said Thursday. Tuesday.
And, okay, if you got, and Steve and myself said we want that, then, yeah. Where is the? Paper I gave you, you want us to sign it? Before you go. How'd they get you stuff back? Oh, I gave him a copy. I had it for $60, I just haven't changed it.
Explain.
I'm gonna talk to
You want me to put it on too, or just tell Bob Ayers to trust me?
Yeah. All right, I know.
If I would've got that, I would've stamped it. Doesn't matter.
No, today's the 13th, not the 14th. He was against us. Yeah, we didn't say exactly. He went out and ran anything. Not a big mistake.
You can be proud.
You got my computer?
Yeah.
Where is your discussion being held? Where are they having the discussion, where they come to consensus?
Well, they can talk to each other on one.
Yes, but rationale. There's split
because I've had a couple times that they didn't approve, they wanted, change, we had to redo it. And so that's when I came up with the, for more exact, word for word, was YouTube. Sure. And then underneath there, we put that these are not permanent, note that these are not permanent, and, the YouTube is not permanent. And we ran that through our attorney, Jim, and he said, I also ran through a guy that's ahead of the Illinois Township.
So minutes are designed to let people know what the business was. And you will say in the minutes, it was discussed.
He knows it. He's been doing this for almost a year. He never had a complaint about that before. And he complained about, well, we just got this 48 hours. What the hell's the difference? You come in